Hello everyone and welcome back to Football Manager 2018 and a brand new experiment where we're going to take a look at what would happen if the top 6 leagues in Europe all went under a 50-year transfer embargo. I can't remember if it's a 50-year transfer embargo or if it's to the year 2050. Either way, this is a database that you can download from the Steam Workshop. So all you have to do is search the word transfer and it will come up. So thanks to the person who organised this. I might drop a link in the description if I can remember so that you guys also can download this. But the idea is that none of the teams in any of the top 6 leagues are going to be able to sign players for at least 33 years, if not longer. So this is going to have huge ramifications on the makeup of each of these top leagues, and over the longer term it's going to have a huge impact on the European competitions such as the Champions League, and it may also be quite interesting to see which national team starts to do well at the World Cup if, as all of the people in the UK seem to think, that we had more English players in the Premier League than we'd have a better national team. We'll be able to see if that's true and if England can actually do quite well out of this. Now, the 6 leagues that we've picked for this, you've got the Premier League, the Spanish First Division, the Bundesliga, or the Liga rather, Serie A, Ligue, and actually the Portuguese league, not the Russian Premier League, so Liga NOS as well. And we're going to go forward in this episode 1 and possibly 2 years, because this is when the most change is likely to happen. We'll see which teams do well, what transfers, if any, are taking place, because this also gives an opportunity to the Russian League, but also to China and the MLS to pick up some very good players when other teams can't. So let's go forward 1 year into the future and see how all these teams get on. But before we do that, make sure to subscribe. This is likely to be a 5 or 6 part series, so you'll want to subscribe for when these videos come out every couple of days. And make sure to drop a like on the video if you do want to see more from this experiment. If you're not into it, let me know. But let's go forwards 1 year and see how they've got on. Well, first up, we are going to start with the Premier League. We're a year ahead in the future, and if we drop back at last season, you can see it was won by Manchester United, just 3 goals ahead of Manchester City, their arch rivals, and Liverpool only 3 points further behind them. It's so tight at the top there. Arsenal, Spurs and Chelsea having it decided on goal difference. And Arsenal, having scored more goals, managing to finish above Spurs despite the same goal difference. So a very interesting league table there, with West Brom, Palace and Brighton getting relegated. If we have a look at their transfer history, going back to last season, then you can see obviously not many people have been signed. Klavan leaving Liverpool to Shanghai, Mariappa to Kiev, all very low figure transfers here, so not too much to take a look at this stage. And so far in this summer, you can see Benik Afobe going to Wolves. Wolves absolutely cleaning up. No doubt they are a newly promoted team, have got some extra money, as I imagine Leeds and Preston are. And we could see Wolves winning the Premier League very soon, because that is what is likely to happen. If they're the only Premier League team that has the money to spend and has a chairman willing to spend it, then they could fly up the leagues. If we have a look at La Liga and take a look at their table, you can see Barcelona won the league this time, a good 5 points clear of Real Madrid. And when we look at the transfer movements from last season, you can see the biggest transfer was to Jiangsu. They actually signed 2 players, Pablo Piatti and Victor Ruiz, for a combined £50+ million. So 2 good players leaving the league already. Wolves are in here again, picking up Alfred Ndai and Gabriel, another transfer going. But not too much going on there in Spanish La Liga, as you would imagine. Although actually, when we sort of... No, that's still the same. I thought some more transfers had popped up there. If we have a look at Serie A, then we can see Juventus, unsurprisingly, winning the league this time. Inter, Napoli and AC Milan in the Champions League places. The transfers are the most important thing here, really. And you can see Gulam, again, going to China. China will pick up a lot of these players. Every season, 1 or 2 are going to go to China, and they will be big-name players. This transfer here to Roma will be a pre-existing one, so it isn't a fault in the way the database is running. It's just that a lot of these pre-existing transfers will continue to go on. The German First Division, if we take a look at their last season, then you can see Bayern Munich won it, but only by 7 goals over Bayer Leverkusen. Dortmund finished down in 6th. and the relegation is there at the bottom. Their transfers, £2.2 million, their biggest transfer out, Alez to Hanover, a pre-existing one I imagine, and no transfers so far this season. Ligue, obviously this will have a huge impact on PSG, who are the big spenders. Monaco as well do spend a lot of money, but PSG winning this league by 4 points over Monaco. And if we take a look at their transfers, you can see virtually no money being spent in France or from France at the minute. And Lassana Diarra has left for the Middle East. So finally, if we take a quick look at the Portuguese Premier League and have a look at their transfers, and you can see very little going on. Player going to Barnsley is quite interesting, but Fazer leaving for Quanjan and Rafa. Obviously, Ajax could do quite well out of this because they are not under embargo. Sporting did win the league, 3 points clear of Braga. Benfica really struggling this season. And that is the top 6 leagues. So not a lot to see at this point. But if we go forward another year, we might be able to see how those newly promoted teams have done, having been able to sign so many new players. We're another year into the future, and if we have a look at the Premier League table, then we can see that Manchester United again winning the title here, 6 points clear of City this time. Transfers, again, very little going on. A few players going. Preston, Middlesbrough picking up so far in this summer. But last season, obviously you had Naby Keita, a pre-existing transfer to Liverpool for £62 million. But most of the transfers in were to Wolves and Leeds, including Diego Jota from Atletico Madrid, Afobe going there as well. And the Turkish, Ukrainian leagues, Russian leagues picking up players. Daniel Johnson leaving Preston to go to Tigres, which is a surprise move. Brøndby also picking up a player. Not too many major names leaving that I can see here. Obviously, some players could leave on a free transfer, which is a bit hard to spot, but certainly a lot more transfer activity going on, even if the numbers are quite small. But that's because some of the newly promoted teams are spending money. Not that it helped Leeds this time, but you can see Wolves finishing reasonably high up the table, and Preston escaped relegation as well. Now, if we have a look at La Liga, then you can see that Atletico Madrid won the league, 1 point clear of Real Madrid and 3 points clear of Barcelona. So already a bit of a shake-up here. Obviously, Atletico Madrid are a good team, but still surprising that they've managed to beat Barcelona there. Last season, obviously, you had the 2 big transfers to China, and then now you have Vinicius Junior going to Real Madrid, another pre-existing transfer. Jota was the next big one. And not an awful lot of transfers out, to be honest, in Spain. In Germany, if we have a look at their previous season, then Bayern Munich, unsurprisingly, winning the league again by a good way. Their transfers, very little going on. You had Naby Keita leave, Douglas Costa went to Juventus, another pre-existing transfer. And everything else well under £5 million. So not an awful lot of movement there in or out, but they have bounced up to third place from fourth. In Serie A, again, Juventus winning the league quite comfortably, and their transfers, Douglas Costa, the big transfer in. Obviously, a lot of these teams are going to be cash rich, so it'll be interesting to see when this embargo ends, what they will do with all of the money that they have sitting in the bank. If we have a look at Ligue, I imagine again that PSG have won this one. It was actually Olympique Lyonnais that have won it. That is incredibly surprising. They've won it by 7 points over PSG and even further ahead of Monaco. Our first real shock in the league, but we've seen that with Atletico Madrid and Lyon now. And this could be interesting to see how that develops going forward. Obviously, Mbappe was signed permanently by PSG for £160 million, but everything else pretty standard down there. And then finally, with the Portuguese league, we can see Sporting winning the league this time, and in their transfers, Vincent Aboubakar moving to China for £44.5 million. Very little else going on in that league. Now, finally, if we have a look at the Champions League for the last 2 seasons, then we can start in the quarterfinals just to get an idea of which teams are making it here. And there is a surprise in here. This is the very first season, because obviously I didn't show this for last season. You can see that Red Bull Leipzig did make it to the quarterfinals before being knocked out by Real Madrid. And if we look at the semis, then Bayern managed to win that. over Spurs, and Man United making the final. So Manchester United Bayern Munich final, a very interesting one there, and it was won by Manchester United 1-0 over Bayern Munich. So a good win for United there. The following season, no real surprise in there. Liverpool managed to get past Arsenal to make the semis of the Champions League. Real Madrid and Barcelona going through with Manchester City. In the semis, Liverpool and City knocked out. So Real Madrid, Barcelona, Champions League final. What a final. And in that final, Real Madrid did what they always do and won the Champions League 2-0 over Barcelona. So a very, very impressive performance there. A quick glance at the Europa League. You can see the last two winners, Liverpool and Valencia. It will take some time for the order of Europe to be destabilised, really. It will happen in the leagues before it happens in Europe. I'm not going to look at the international competitions just yet, but I think that will be it for this episode. I think when I do this next time, I'll probably go 3 to 5 years ahead, but I'll jump straight to the end straight away, and then we can go back and have a look at how each of the seasons progressed in each league, which might be a more easy way to display the narrative of what's happening in the changes here. But do let me know what you think down in the comments and how you think it would be best to take this forward as well. Drop a like on the video if you think this experiment is an interesting one, and make sure that you subscribe so you see the next part when it comes out in a couple of days' time. But until next time, see ya.